Okay, this dude, I love this dude's channel. His name's Thrill Seeker. All right. And this guy's like on the cutting edge of technology and VR and, you know, the evolution of gaming. And he buys the most expensive equipment. Last week, we saw a video of him basically doing a Ready Player One setup that hooked up every sense. It was, he had the eyes, he had the nose, he had the smells, he had the haptic suit for the feels. He had his own custom made satellite dish that he was running inside of that literally he was sweating, heaps of sweat coming off of this. And, you know, he was fascinated. He's like, you could see the fascination in him. You could see he wanted to put the energy in to see what was next, because that's how fascinatingly immersed he was in his environment, right? He went bonkers. He went into VR chat. He was completely immersed, and he said he did not want to get out. He said that when he went back to the real world, it was bland. He did not want to experience the real world. Let me just say that one more time so people understand the impact of his experience. He thought real life was bland, and he said he did not want to go back to the real world. In essence, he didn't say that out loud, but we saw it in that expression. I saw it. I am a gypsy. I understand this man's emotions. When I saw his face and I heard him say, wow, it was game over for real life. You understand? It was game over for real life. He chose at that moment the simulation. He chose Ready Player One. Okay, this is the man who we're going to watch right now. He gave up on real life. He decided to devote more of his finances towards giving him that experience. He's continually developing his Ready One experience, man. And it's crazy. And he said that the biggest problem that he saw was that the compatibility of the hardware, which is not a big issue. Eventually, you're going to see this all streamlined. You know, so they work all together as one. There's going to be a company that does it. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be Zuckerberg in the space. Some people are saying Microsoft, but I see this meta. I see this name change. What's up, Lazarus? Welcome to the fam. Expect a lot of crazy.
Well, Grado's starting to
expect a lot of crazy and wrestling in chicken suits. That's what we do here on every Friday morning. We wrestle in chicken suits. We will mail you your chicken suit, and you will wrestle with us. And it's gonna get a little kinky, but that's okay. Welcome aboard, Lazarus. So let's watch and see what he's into right now. He's talking about VR gloves being actually insane. So he's always testing out new hardware. I want to see what is going on.
This is insane.
Oh no! I felt things that weren't there.
Just this past week, I flew out to one of the biggest VR and AR conferences in the world, the Augmented World Expo, a place where companies from all over the XR industry can come show off their latest technology to the entire world. And my mind has been absolutely blown this past week.
Whoa! Those gloves are
From
freaky.
actually functional augmented reality glasses to full-on VR rigs that allow you to feel things realistically, to some of the very first holograms anyone can buy. This is the Augmented World Expo, and for the first time, we get to experience it together. Thank you to Qualcomm for sponsoring this video and making all this happen. But here is everything I saw at AWE. There is one company that I've probably covered about 10 times on my channel, and I have dreamt of trying out their systems, and that's Haptics, the leading haptic VR solution on the market, and supposedly the most realistic way you can feel virtual objects while in VR. And famously, the creator of the rig that Jeff Bezos used to control a set of robotic arms, making—
Oh God, it's the devil. I will have to say this, as much as Bezos pisses me off, he did make one of the best online retail companies become just about everything in the world and make things super easy to get. Like, I couldn't imagine a world now without like Amazon online, you know, like getting packages like instantly within a day or two. Like, I can't go backwards and think of a time before that. It makes me cringe. But this man also makes me cringe a little bit. just a bit. When I see him in those gloves, it scares me. like he will become I feel like these gloves will give him the power, will make him the overlord of the VR space. Like I feel like any involvement that Bezos has with any type of VR equipment, like I get nervous. I don't want you in my VR world, Bezos. Get out of my VR world. Get out, Bezos.
Him look like a Marvel supervillain. And I finally got a chance to try them. But first, some quick background so you get why these are so insane. There are lots of haptic force feedback glove solutions out there across the price spectrum. From Lucas's homemade gloves for under $60 to Sense gloves reaching up to $5,000. But Haptics is in a whole different category, costing more than most luxury cars even. But that's also because they do something quite a bit differently. Using a full-on air compressor side unit and backpack, the massive Haptics gloves have 133 tiny feedback points per hand that act as little air pockets pushing against your...
Kill Devil, right? No big deal. Just mount a computer on your back. It's okay. See, this is what he was talking about in his prior video. There has to be more streamlined, adaptable hardware in order for this to really take off. And at lower pricing.
Skin, allowing them to simulate nearly any texture you'd feel in VR. The little points inflating or deflating to provide different sensations, with something called an extend-in pulling the fingers back so it feels like you're actually holding a physical object, even though it's only in VR. And in my demo, I was legitimately weirded out by the sensation of holding objects that felt like they were actually in my hand, but were only virtual. At one point, I held a virtual rope and pulled tension back on the rope with my other hand. I could feel the force getting stronger and stronger against my fingers and wrist as I pulled back, but here's where it gets crazy. I could have sworn there was tension against my entire back as I pulled this string, as there would be normally, but the Haptics guys told me that's just my brain filling in the gaps. These sensations the Haptics gloves were providing to only my hands were so realistic that my brain just made up these sensations to match for the rest of my...
Dude, we better not be in a vat. And there better be no fucking robots collecting my energy. I better not be a fucking capsule. I better not be a capsule of fucking energy. I better not be a capsule of motherfucking energy right now. God damn it. Where's Morpheus at? Was he going to offer me the pills right now? I swear to God, if I'm in a goddamn vat, just a battery for some large fucking AI crazy robotic nightmare on the other side of this, I'm going to spaz and vomit. Morpheus! Where are you, Morpheus?
There was no back strain, but it really felt like it because my body just expected there to be. And I can definitely see how these gloves have been used for all sorts of applications, from robotics to surgical training, military training, and Haptic says that they absolutely want to branch out to the consumer market at some point, but getting consumers to spend $100,000 on a set of gloves just to give head pats isn't something very reliable. So they instead are just pushing the boundaries in ways that make sense. I will say though, the sensations I felt were very real with the Haptics gloves.
I felt things that weren't there.
But the visuals felt like a bottleneck with the now 3-year-old Valve Index used during my demo. Not a problem though, because just down the conference hall, Vario was demoing the XR3. Still, to this day, the clearest and, in my opinion, best VR headset available on the market. Not cheap, still costing nearly $7,000, but their specialty being the aspheric lenses and quad displays, giving them some of the best visuals available on any headset. And they did something really special and interesting with their own demo. Using the dual LiDAR cameras on the front of the headset, Vario set up the XR3 to play a 3D pass-through version of Beat Saber, making it feel like the blocks were flying at you from reality. A really cool experience, and honestly, there are some situations where I could see myself liking this a little better than normal Beat Saber. Playing around people and being able to see my environments and having the game come at me from the environment was really cool, and it's something that I think we're going to see a lot more of in the future as higher quality pass-through becomes available on more headsets. But not everything at AWE is all about super expensive enterprise level gear that's out of the price range of just about everybody except for Jeff Bezos. I finally got a chance to try out the Lynx R1, an upcoming VR headset that is really special and set to compete directly against the Quest 2 and Meta's upcoming Cambria. And I guess I'll start with the fact that this is way...
See, Meta's making the hardware too. Meta, Zuckerberg, making that hardware too.
More than just a VR headset, featuring an array of cameras on the front.
I mean, like, maybe Oculus wasn't the greatest buy in the world, you know? Well, maybe it wasn't, you know? Because if you think about it, they can create the hardware just as easily without Oculus.
That allow for high definition, color, and low latency pass-through, making this...
Yeah, Meta, like, here's the thing though, like, I am not going to underestimate either. I'm not a fan of Mark, you know, I'm not a fan of Mark Zuckerberg and what he's done with metadata and what he's done with Facebook, but he did it. And like, you know, past results aren't always indicative of future results, but I can say the man is driven and he has renamed his company Meta. So I don't know. I think you're going to see a race. I think you're going to see a huge, like, remember the space race? No, I don't, because I wasn't alive during that particular point in time, but I read, you know, a bit. I'm a history connoisseur, if you will. And there was something called the space race. I think now in this era, we're in the VR race. Like, I think we're trying to figure out how to get there as fast as possible. I think what we're going to see in the industry within the next 10 years is going to blow your mind. I'm saying 11 years. I'm going to say that, and I think I've said this on a prior stream, I think by the time 2033 hits, that we will be able to all have an amazing virtual experience, like amazing. 11 years, mark the calendar.
Essentially a full-on virtual reality and pass-through augmented reality headset.
I know.
It's also standalone with an XR2 on board and also allows for PC VR usage. Has a flip-up display, hand tracking with optional controllers, and interestingly enough, has this crazy weird prism lens design.
The thing with Zuckerberg is he'll just buy anybody he can to get to that point.
It actually looks really, really good with a pretty wide field of view. Maybe even wider than the Quest. And I don't know exactly how they do it. I didn't get a whole lot of time with the Lynx, but I'll definitely be doing a full review video on the headset in just a couple months when Lynx officially releases.
Who knows?
And here's the fun part. The Lynx R1 is launching next month for $599 for consumers and $1,000 for enterprise. Still not Quest 2 prices, but you do get a little more with the package without a Facebook login if that matters to you. Now we can talk about some augmented reality stuff, and this is where things get really exciting, like culturally shifting exciting. I feel like we all have this idea of AR. I know I was inspired way back when Google made its original Google Glass video, but that was almost a decade ago, and really good AR technology has just kind of been out of reach until the technology fundamentally improves. But we're getting really close, and it's not just one or two companies doing this, it's the entire industry making strides towards affordable, really good AR. We're essentially at...
It's a fucking race, people. Do you understand? It's a race to get to this now. Like, it's all going to happen fast. It's all going to happen very fast. And it's going to happen in stages, and the first people that will have access to it are the filthy rich people like Thrill Seeker, who's going to buy the $7,000 headset. And then eventually what's going to happen is it's going to go mainstream. Eventually. It's going to take a long time to get there, hence the 11 years. And everyone eventually will have a Nubifier studio. I'm sorry, Nubifier. Everybody's going to be able to have a Nubifier studio in 11 years.
The Google Cardboard and DK1 phase of AR. And I'll start with Qualcomm and their own big strides. At AWE, Qualcomm made a pretty big announcement for Snapdragon Spaces, an XR development platform that allows pretty much anyone with an app to integrate augmented reality features into their application using OpenXR. This could be a map overlay for a phone or flat screen game, the map projected off screen to save screen real estate, or something way more ambitious like an app prototype, or even really easy ports of existing VR games into AR, which was actually shown here surprisingly. Demio, one of my favorite VR games, was ported using Snapdragon Spaces into a set of AR glasses that had full 6-off control. For the first time, I was able...
Hold on a second. Let me turn down the master and turn up the volume on my mic. Can you hear me now, Chrono? Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Can you hear my mumbling? Now we're going to do the... Thank you. I like when my audience informs me of my volume levels. Thank you so much. All right, now hold on. Now we're going to start the video, and I'm going to talk at the same time. Okay, here we go. We need professionalism on the channel. Thank you. If there's any flaw in this stream, I want you guys to speak up right away. Okay, here we go.
Able to actually
all right, can you hear me now talk?
In AR,
can you hear me talk now?
One of the first true cross-reality games available on PC, AR, and VR, and playable with all of each other. And the crazier part is that this was a totally playable demo, all within augmented reality, and they only spent like a week.
That's my voice.
But that's kind of what they're doing with Snapdragon Spaces. They're trying to make it easy so more people develop for AR. But let's talk about the hardware. This is one of Qualcomm's...
Fingers wants me to take the bass out of my voice here. I can't do it on the board, you see, because this is actually my voice. Hold on. There is no bass on the board at all. Hold on a second. Taking the bass out of my voice.
Hello, welcome to DG360. There's really no bass at all in my voice right now.
Very first AR hardware
Is that better,
development kits
Fingers?
that anyone can get their hands on. Sort of like the early
I did that for you,
DK1s
Fingers.
and DK2s of
Listen,
the
I'm going to be talking like this the rest of my life because of Fingers. Yeah.
VR scene, featuring a set
Thank
of
you,
birdback
Fingers.
optic Lenovo
You've made my life much
A3
better.
AR glasses with a Motorola Edge Plus smartphone. Of course, with Qualcomm's newest Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor. Getting a lot of time with this pair during AWE, augmented reality is moving really fast. I mean, this is the thing. A device that projects virtual objects into reality has 6 degrees of freedom in spatial tracking, eventually hand tracking. There are just so many use cases. And I also got to try out the legit cardboard of AR called HoloKit, something that you can get right now if you have an iPhone and want to try out AR for yourself. And it was actually really freaking good for just using an iPhone screen, and it had hand tracking and 6-off tracking and everything. Really, really cool. And that wasn't all for AR at AWE, not even close. But let's go back to VR for a moment. I love my Valve Index Knuckles controller, but this isn't the end-all be-all VR controller. More than 2 years after its original announcement, I finally got to try out the new AT controller, a controller that offers many of the same features as the Index.
By the way, I think the company that's going to excel in the AR world, which means augmented reality, by the way, I had to explain the difference between VR and AR to Christy, and then she was like, "Oh, I get it. That's my girlfriend, by the way. Usually she's pretty teched and geeked out, but she she's not aware of the space. So of course I have these talks with her on the weekend. In fact, after the stream today, I'm going to nerd it up and I'm going to geek her out a little bit more, because that's what I always do. And I'm going to talk about the things we watched today, and she's going to sit there and go, Sometimes she likes it. Sometimes she's fascinated by it. Other times I put her in a coma. And it's very similar to what happens here on the stream.
Finger tracking, grip strength, sensitivity,
you never know what you're
super
gonna get
precise
here.
haptics, optional Steam VR lighthouse tracking, and more for
But
around
I think
the same
Microsoft-
price
I
as
think
Knuckles,
Microsoft's
but
gonna
in a much
own
smaller
the
and
AR
lightweight
space.
package. And for all this time, I've been pretty skeptical, because the whole idea behind the AT is that, well, it's a controller without a single button. Like, not one button on this thing. Everything is sensor, sensitivity, or gesture based, including the
I would like to see
thumbstick
that.
or lack of a thumbstick. But I was really surprised. Within a few minutes of using the AT, it was all very intuitive, and the controller felt really good in my hands. The most surprising thing for me was the accuracy of the finger tracking. A lot of times the Index has a couple fingers that are just a little off, and this was really precise. And also,
What's
the
Chrono saying?
trackpad-like finish on the
Hold
top
on.
of the
What's up,
controller.
Mad Style? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Chicken Suit Wrestling. But Chrono said something that's a little disturbing. Chrono said, "I heard what you say about me, and I don't like it." What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Chrono?
It doesn't feel like a
I love you,
trackpad.
dude.
It feels more like a weird
okay,
thumbstick,
okay,
but it's
no.
not a thumbstick.
say
And for
anything
a lot
about
of
you,
games,
dude.
I'm sure that using an actual thumbstick will be a little better. But for things like VR chat, honestly, when these launch, I may make the switch to Etsy controllers from Knuckles, because the haptic feedback, the gesture-based controls, all just felt really good. Not to mention the weight and size of
That's
the controllers
interesting.
just being smaller, and the fact
Yeah.
that it's Steam VR tracked makes it a pretty exciting prospect. I don't know how I'm gonna like them long term, but I was very pleasantly surprised to see that it's not only a working controller after so
Much better, more compact. I dig that. I dig that.
long, but a pretty darn good one, and it rethinks how we'd react with things in VR. But now onto my 2 absolute favorite demos from AWE. I'll start with this, the Wii Art. I've tried out VR gloves, VR suits, VR chairs, and I think this is the one that I want at my home the most just to mess around with. Coming in this little box, you put 3 modules on the fingertips of your
Smart.
thumb, index,
Smart.
and middle finger, and using the built-in hand tracking on any headset, these little modules provide super realistic haptic and temperature feedback of different surfaces. For example, in the
Wow.
demo, they had different surfaces like leather and granite that when I ran my fingers across them, it actually felt like I was running my fingers across the grainy textures of leather and granite. It felt really realistic for a small device, and I was pretty awestruck, to be honest.
Wow.
I feel something in VR.
This dude at WeArt is so happy that Thrill Seeker is here. Like, look at this man's face. He's like, "Thank you, Thrill Seeker, for being here. Please put this on your channel right now."
Alright.
But that's not it. What really shocked me is that they had a section with virtually hot and cold gases that when you put your fingers over, it actually got really hot and
That's
really
crazy.
cold.
That's
It is really
crazy.
hot.
And even though only my fingers were experiencing the temperature change, it felt like my entire hand was experiencing it.
Whoa! Whoa!
And this still isn't cheap at around $1,000, but come on, this doesn't have to be $1,000.
What's up, Mad Style? Welcome to the stream. First time chatter. Give him
them
applause.
Way sooner than later and for way cheaper. And after this demo, I feel like temperature is a way more immersive
We
thing
love new
as a haptic
interaction here
feedback
on the
than just
stream.
vibration, and it's something I really want to see more of. But now on to my other favorite thing at AWE, Tilt 5.
This is really, really, really
What
cool.
is that?
Guys, Tilt 5 is really cool. It's essentially an augmented reality gaming setup that uses
Wait.
some super interesting technology.
What?
But the best part is that their setup is probably the cheapest thing at AWE, directed at consumers at $359. But this isn't the typical AR setup. And something interesting is that Tilt 5 was actually the product of an ex-Valve project, and that's something I'd love to get into later on, but back onto the tech. Using two projectors on the glasses, an image is projected onto the playing board, then reflected back into your eyes to get a really vivid, 3D, almost unbelievable picture back. And you can do all
Why
sorts
don't-
of things with it. Play
can't
games,
record
watch
it?
movies, anything. And it's kind of trippy
There
too,
we go.
because playing one of the demos, the tree line feels like it's popping out of the board by like a foot. Then you take the glasses off and you realize it's just a
Three-dimensional dungeon and drag meetups. Please let that happen. Bring that back in three-dimensional. Like, dude, you imagine going old school D&D meeting up on a three-dimensional board? Are you kidding me? Rebirth it. Rebirth it.
I don't know, just
D&D.
really cool stuff. And I can imagine how
I wanna
awesome
see some
it would be
D&D
to play
on there.
something like Demio or have a D&D campaign with a bunch of people around.
Yeah,
Plus,
there he
another
goes.
interesting
Thrill
thing
Seeker
is
knows
that
what's up.
using the same board, you can have one person playing one game with
Good
a
on
set
you,
of
Thrill
glasses
Seeker.
and another person playing a totally different
like
game
that.
using the same board. I don't know, I found that really awesome, and
Great
it's something
minds.
I definitely need to cover.
Dude,
on
that
this
would be
channel in the
badass.
future. Just a few other things I found exciting at AWE to recap.
That
the
would be
Yacht
badass.
chair was
Holy
extremely
shit, look at
fun.
this chair.
I like it a lot.
Wait, are those
And it's
LEDs?
something I
Look at the motherfucking LEDs in this chair. Look at these LEDs. What is going on here?
definitely want to make a video about it in the
Nubifier,
future.
look at
Playing
this
a space
chair,
game with
buddy.
this thing was kind of crazy, and I still can't believe that you can have motion chairs in VR this good in your home. Also, two types of displays really shocked me. Neither one of these are VR or AR, but they're almost as interesting. One is the Leia, a near-field display, something I've talked about quite a bit, that seriously looked like it was about 3 or 4 feet deep. Yet it's not, obviously. It was actually pretty mind-boggling, but it's hard to capture on camera, and I kind of don't want to go back to a flat screen after using it. It's that good. And the Looking Glass, another pretty sweet looking 3D hologram display,
that.
like a real hologram that you can get and display anything on.
Dude, it's the upgrade. It's like an upgrade in family pictures, man.
Also really sweet. And these are both two things that I think that we're about to see a lot more of. So this wasn't even close to everything that was at AWE. Out of the hundreds of booths, I could only talk about a dozen or so here. Otherwise, we'd have a 10-hour long video. But what I do have to say is that the XR community is amazing. And you're a part of it too. I know that not everyone can make it out to big events like this, but at least I can share my experiences with you and show you what's coming. Because AR and VR are moving so extremely fast. It's not just Quest 2s and Resident Evil ports. There is so much more coming, and we're all a part of it, whether you're a developer or you're just watching these videos. And
Listen, Thrill Seeker's doing good work. Definitely dig it. I am subscribed. I'm gonna like that. I love what he's doing in the space. He's like a pioneer in this space, and I'm really considering putting a playlist on my channel that's like a VR kind of. I hate to say this word because there's so much toxicity attached to it, but like a VR metaverse, play to earn, you know, crypto gaming, this type of thing. I'm really thinking of adding a playlist because we've done so much content in that genre, right? But I know that like it has a lot of toxicness attached to it because there's a lot of skamazes out there, you know? So I don't know. I'm considering it. If you guys want that kind of playlist where I can put all that content in its own playlist on the channel, I've definitely been upgrading the channel. If you want to check out the YouTube channel here, you can see we've been really finding really cool stuff because of you guys. You're very active in the Discord. We're killing it. We've got like crazy momentum right now. We're almost at 15,000 subscribers. Woo! We're almost there. Play and earn, correct. Starlet has been watching the channel, and you're noticing, you're seeing play and earn, aren't you? I'm just saying. I said this almost a year ago. I started talking about the difference between play to earn and play and earn. Almost a year ago to the date. It was sometime last June when I started talking about how play to earn is getting this really bad rap because there's a lot of speculation in the space. And I said there's a difference between play to earn games and play and earn games. And play and earn games are games where the company focuses on the fun and the game development first and the money making secondary. And there's going to be developers that do that, right? Nobody's really putting that narrative out there, but I'm now starting to see some people in the space talk about the differences between play to earn and play and earn. So I remember talking about this a year ago. Hey, everything good comes from the banana fountain. The banana fountain knows what's up. The banana fountain knows what's up. Just saying. So anyway, go to DG360. We're killing it. I think we're doing 5,000 views almost a day now. It goes from like 3,000 to 5,000 views a day. We're doing great thanks to you guys here in our Discord. By the way, if you're not in our community, go to our Discord and the Look at This DG section. You guys are putting amazing, like Starlet, put this in here. We just watched that today. Ash, put this in there. We just watched that today. Oh my God, we're going to watch this next. Ash, we're going to watch this one next.